Are you tired of sweaty lobbies and suspect deaths? Well, I think I found an honest way to beat Warzone's matchmaking system, and I didn't have to use cheats or VPNs, reverse boost, or buy a store bundle. All you need to know is that dirty gaming algorithms aim to milk as much playtime and money from you as possible, and in Warzone that algorithm is not SBMM. If you ever wanted the game to give you a break and you don't like cheating, I'll tell you how to do it. Let's dive in. Thanks for watching the video. I'm Boomer, I'm old and just trying to compete in online shooters. I'm going to tell you right now how to beat Activision's matchmaking system, and then I'll show you the evidence to back it up. To get an easier experience, you have to stop playing the game. And the longer you go between gaming sessions, the better. If you play a lot of Warzone, as in every night or most nights, you know the game often gives you a bad experience. You die in frustratingly suspect ways all the time, right? All the time. It seems the game often makes you fodder for enemies for as long as the algorithm thinks you'll keep playing. Then it'll throw you a bone right before you're likely to quit. Well, you've got to teach the algorithm you'll quit after every suspect outcome. You have to quit the game immediately for the night and have the discipline to do this for at least a few weeks. But if you do it, your experience will improve. Let me explain how I got here. I'll be brief. I already published a 25-minute video detailing a 150 game study I conducted that shows one way Activision steers our experience. In that previous study, I died 90% of the time to players who had a lower ping and often a much lower ping, even though numerous other servers would have given me a much better connection quality. Why? I believe I'm given a poor experience because I play a lot, i.e. I'm engaged, and I don't spend money. So the game puts me into higher ping servers against enemies who have lesser ping, giving my enemies a statistical advantage. That could be because those enemies either play less, spend money, or are deemed unhappy. If you're unfamiliar, ping is the most important factor in whether you win 50-50 gunfights, and if you can react quickly enough to dodge bullets. Think of ping like a 100-meter dash. When you and an enemy start shooting, it's a race to see whose bullets get to the server faster to register damage. If the enemy has a 60-meter head start or a 60 millisecond ping advantage in this analogy, he's most likely to win. So why is this important? First, it appears Call of Duty's algorithm is engagement optimized matchmaking, or EOMM, and not skill-based matchmaking, or SBMM. EOMM is an algorithm type meant to keep you playing and paying. It wants your money and it doesn't care for a second if it manipulates games to get it. There are many examples of this, but here's one. Activision filed a multiplayer specific patent designed to drive microtransactions. The algorithm aims to, quote, influence game-related purchases. Basically, it will make you face a much higher skilled enemy who is using a gun blueprint or skin from the store. Their hope is you'll die to that player and then wish to emulate him, thus purchasing those items. If the game used SBMM, it would simply put you into lobbies with similarly skilled players, but it's not. Just look at any Warzone lobby that you're put into, the skill range of players runs the gamut. That's not SBMM. Another example is one you've probably already felt. The algorithm seems to measure your happiness level. Rage quit, you generally get an easy lobby for your first game on the next day. But here it is in Activision's words. Quote, the scoring engine may dynamically adjust one or more coefficients to match the player in a game that will improve the player's performance. In layman's terms, that means if you're unhappy, you get a bot lobby or other benefits. From Activision's perspective, an unhappy player might quit, and if they quit, they're less likely to spend money. If you're having a bad experience but you keep playing, the algorithm thinks you're happy. And if it thinks you're happy, it won't necessarily improve your experience, whether that's a better ping or easier lobbies or whatever other hidden trick they might employ. My next video dives into those possibilities. If the algorithm thinks you're happy, however, it seems you often become fodder for players who the algorithm thinks are unhappy. So you have to teach it what will keep you playing and what sort of experience will make you quit. I mentioned high ping was the culprit in 90% of all my deaths. I was frustrated as hell, it wasn't fun, but I kept playing for multiple hours each night. Nothing ever changed. The algorithm, I believe, thought I was happy. It knew I'd keep playing no matter what. So I taught it a lesson and I succeeded. How did I do this? This is from the 150 game study I did in January to February of 2022. We'll look at just a few stats to put my most recent study into context. The data I want to focus on here is to reiterate that in 90% of more than 150 deaths, I lost to players with a lesser ping. In 40% of those deaths, the enemy had half or a third of my ping. The average ping of the enemy I faced was 54.79 milliseconds. My average ping was 96.94 milliseconds. Even though every night numerous servers are available to me that would give me a 20 to 50 millisecond ping. But Warzone only places me on those good servers a total of 0.65% of the time and less than 1% of all games I play. So I did a different experiment in June of 2022, this time testing my theory that the game would give me a good experience if I simply showed it I was unhappy. I stopped engaging. Here's what happened. So here is a very simple experiment that I performed from June 11th to July 10th. The only litmus test I had was that I would quit immediately if I died to an enemy who had half my ping or less. Before I started the test on June 11th, I took 6 days off. So before this very first game on day 1, I didn't touch the game for 6 days. I thought when I came back that I would get a great experience, that the game would welcome me back with open arms. Well, it didn't. As you can see here, on the very first day of the test, I only played 1 game before running into an enemy who had significantly lower ping. So if that was to occur, I quit right then and there. So I died the first game to a guy who had much lower ping, so I quit. Hopped on the next day and got 2 games in before dying to an enemy with much lower ping, and so forth. On the third day, after having taken 3 days off, I was able to get 3 games in before running into an enemy with lower ping. Skipped a day, got 4 games, and then skipped 4 days, and now all of a sudden I got 10 games with much lower ping. So you can see the trajectory of this chart. The more I taught the algorithm that I wasn't going to put up with BS, the more it bent to my wishes, so to speak. So I continually got more and more games where I had a fair advantage against enemies until this day when I played 10 games. If you notice, I did not skip any days, played the exact same night. Very first game on, ran into somebody with a higher ping. What I did was I quit, skipped a day, and when I came back, I was able to get 6 games in. And you can generally see here over the ensuing days, I was able to get 4 to 5 games on every night without running into an enemy that had much lower ping. And 4 to 5 games a night is 2 to 2.5 hours, depending on how long you last. So that's a pretty good result for just letting the algorithm know that I was unhappy with the experience it was giving me. So what's the takeaway here? By repeatedly quitting when I was given an unfair experience, I was able to teach the algorithm a lesson. It responded by giving me 2 to 3 hours per night of fair competition. In other words, if you want to have fun playing Warzone, you have to stop playing Warzone. And the longer you can go between games, the better your experience will be when you return. What a twisted business model. To enjoy a product, you have to stop using the product. I've now done 3 in-depth studies about EOMM and Warzone. I think I can confidently say this about the game. 1, Activision leverages your connection quality for or against you based on whether the algorithm thinks you're happy or are likely to quit. And 2, you can teach the algorithm to give you a better experience simply by turning the game off. Remember, Activision is a global billion-dollar company that's run by corporate officers whose only job is to make money for the company's shareholders. Activision is the tech industry, the video game version of Facebook and Twitter. Like the social media platforms, Activision also aims to exploit vulnerabilities in human psychology to make a buck, a lot of bucks. They want to addict you on an emotional level like an app might to keep you scrolling. Adults might wise up to the dirty forces at play, but kids also play these games. To me, this suggests Activision is a scummy company taking advantage of people who might not know better, including children. I feel so strongly about this that I wrote a 14-page university analysis paper this summer. If you really want to nerd out, you can find the link to that study at my Twitter page. As gamers, we have to learn about the forces being used against us. Shady algorithms and machine learning are everywhere. I don't know about you, but I want a genuine experience. If I die in an online game, I want it to be because the enemy outplayed me. And when I win, I want to know it was because of my actions and decisions and not because the algorithm thought it was my turn to taste victory. Of course, this video is all theory. I haven't seen Activision's in-house algorithm, but I believe what I've laid out to be true, and I have even more data-driven stories coming in the near future. But don't take my word for any of this. Do your own research, experiment in your own way. Just remember, EOMM measures your happiness level. It's more likely to give you a good experience if it thinks you're unhappy. So try letting Warzone know just how unhappy you are. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you watching the video. Until next time, have a great day.